All right, the Georgia Bulldogs lose to Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl 23-10. We are on the move here in New Orleans. Kind of a wild week, but Georgia's season is over. Can't blame this one on the defense, Ryan. This was a coaching debacle in a way, but the offense just didn't get it done. They could not run the football. I thought Gunnar Stockton may have been the best player on Georgia's offense. I thought he balled out, made some big-time throws. But we saw the same problems. This team has problems. We knew that, and we saw those problems again today. Slow starts, drop passes, the inability to get a run game going, disastrous efforts right before the first half. They're losing at the half again. Same team, same problems, and they could not overcome them today.
Yeah, we talk about this game for 3 weeks and the storyline the entire time and all the questions the entire time. It's about Gunnar Stockton. Is Gunnar Stockton going to be good enough to do this for this team? Is Gunnar Stockton are they going to open the offense up for him? And it turned out that he was the least of their problems. It was just all of the little issues that add up to be big issues are the reasons why they lost the game. The pass protection being inconsistent, the drops, the wide open drops by receivers, the run game not being effective. They got outrushed big time. We don't have the stats in front of us. They had 60-something yards and they had fewer than 3 yards per carry. And Notre Dame gets 150 yards. But look, you look at the box score, Georgia outgained Notre Dame. Georgia didn't get dominated in the time of possession. In fact, they won the time of possession in the first half. And you look at it and you're like, man, what happened? Turnovers, special teams. They just lost. Bad tackling. It was all of the stuff that happened. All of it combined and happened once in one night. And Gunnar Stockton was really one of the bright spots for Georgia.
I'll tell you what happened. When you fumble the ball at the 8-yard line and give Notre Dame the ball, let's keep rolling. Is Notre Dame good? For me, they were fine. But I know this, when you give away 14 points to 17 points, you're going to lose football games. There's a couple of things that are not okay here. Number one, you can't run the football at Georgia. I don't give a shit who the opposition is. If you can't run the football at Georgia, you're not, or wherever, it's not going to work. So there's some offensive issues that are going to have to be addressed immediately in the offseason. I agree. Gunnar was fine. He was good, but this was a game where it would have been nice to have Carson Beck. You get down, whatever. I not to be too harsh here, man. We can just stop here if you want. Dude, putting Gunnar in that situation, for me, that was a lot. And, it didn't work out. There's a reason why it didn't work out, because he's starting his first game, but nobody helped him, Matt. How many times guys going to drop balls? It's unacceptable. There's a lot of unacceptable, but why did they lose the game? It wasn't because Notre Dame was a better team. No offense. Why not do that stuff? Should they won? For sure. Are they super happy? They are. We're on Bourbon right now. They're everywhere. But, come on, man. They didn't even have 100 yards passing. The quarterback is limited. You lost the game because you had 2 turnovers where you shouldn't have, and you allowed the other team to score when the defense wasn't on the field. There you go. Boom, boom, boom.
Go into the locker room. It's just 6-3. You go into the locker room, it's 6-3, and everything's still in front of you. They try to play the offense. Gunnar Stockton gets drilled. They lose the ball, and then it's 13-3. And then instead of kicking the ball through the end zone, which their kicker, punter, anyone on the roster can do, they kick it short. They return it for a touchdown. It's 20-3 already there. So it was the middle of the game, right before the first half and the beginning of the second half. They're down 17, and you're thinking this thing's kind of stumbling away from them. They tried to fight back, and Gunnar, it was just too little too late. They did not have the playmakers
when
on
you
offense.
Cannot run, and everyone knows you're going to –
when the game's on the line and you're throwing fades to Nitro Tuggle and to Lawson Lucky on 3rd and 4th down, you've got to have playmakers. And I know that's why they went out and got Colby Young, and that's why they got Ra Thomas 2 years ago. Those guys aren't there. You have to have those guys. And Georgia doesn't have a true jump ball, go get it, 3rd and long, 4th and long, game on the line type of guy. They're throwing it to Nitro Tuggle, who has like 3 or 4 catches this year, and you're throwing it to a tight end when the game's on the line. They have to have more playmakers. They've got some coming in, Ryan, but it really hurt them tonight, and it's hurt them all season.
Yeah, it's a season where we keep talking about, is this Kirby Smart's best coaching job? Is this? And there were plenty. Yeah, there were plenty of instances over the season where he was outcoached. He was outcoached by Kalen DeBoer early against Alabama. You could argue he was outcoached by Lane Kiffin out in Ole Miss. He was outcoached by Marcus Freeman tonight. This is not a loss, or this season is not on Kirby. There were a lot of problems that even he couldn't overcome as the best coach in college football, but it was humbling. It was humbling for them. Notre Dame came out with so much more energy, and the crowd for Notre Dame had more energy. It was immediate. You could see that the people wearing gold and white had more juice. When it was a bring your own juice against Tennessee, tonight Notre Dame brought way more juice than Georgia did. And we were just talking to somebody, I forgot your name, but we were just talking to someone in the hallway at the hotel, and the Georgia fans are all saying, hey, wait, we typically play better in the last 5 minutes. You can't win football games like that over and over. As Matt likes to joke around, they have come from behind victories all year, even if it's just by a few points. That's not a good thing. They've got to get this first half stuff, along with a lot of other things. They've got to get the first half stuff figured out. They cannot keep going out there like that and having 3 and outs and allowing the other team. They actually scored first. It didn't feel like it.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is what's really going on here. We got a lot going on over here, by the way. These Notre Dame people, they've not won a significant game in 30 years, 40, 35 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need one of them coming up to me. I'm glad for y'all. It's good for y'all. It's great and everything. You're not winning a national championship. And by the way, when I said Georgia wasn't going to win it with Gunnar Stockton, this is what I was talking about. Could he go put it on his shoulders? I mean, I think he went for 250.
He went for 250 through 32 times. I was on the phone with my dad right before the game, and I was like, look, man, if Gunner's throwing 30-plus times, Georgia probably isn't winning this football game, because what they want to do with Gunner is run the ball and control the clock, and they couldn't do that. The strength that you have when a guy like Gunnar Stockton's out there, he can sling it around. You saw tonight. If you didn't know yet, you saw tonight. He can throw it downfield, and it can be successful. But when you're talking about a guy who has as little experience as he does and is dealing with just a lack of playmakers in an offensive line that's inconsistent, it's just not going to work for Gunner. And it's ironic that the reasons that we thought, we were concerned about Georgia, and it ended up that wasn't the thing. It was everything else. And they've got a lot to figure out for next season. They got to get better weapons out there on the outside. That's one of the biggest problems. They got to get someone that can protect the blind side better. My question to Kirby and to Stacey Searles and this offensive line staff is, Monroe Freeling was allowing sacks, right? They pull him out, and then they put him right back out there on the drive. They guys are, and that's something that they couldn't figure out all season. I don't know if you could hear me, but here we go.
Yeah, this team has they lost 3 games. Here, I'll go on this side. Here we go.
Yeah, I think right over here is probably good. We'll settle in over here.
We'll settle in over here. That was fun. We got classic New Orleans there, but this team lost 3 games, and they were they the favorite going in?
Actually,
one of the favorites, or the second? I mean,
so Las Vegas actually got this, and Kirby actually talked about this tonight, was that Las Vegas got this the right way, which is that all the favorites won. And Notre Dame became a very narrow favorite in this game last night, which was very odd to me. Look, Georgia lost this game because Georgia lost the game. It wasn't that Notre Dame won. I mean, and seriously, don't wait. What do you look at me like that for?
I thought Notre Dame deserved to win. They came out.
Oh no, they deserved to.
Yeah,
they deserved to win.
They could absolutely beat Penn State. I thought they tackled.
I thought
it's a good team.
I thought they would beat Penn State. I don't think so now. I just don't. And the
quarterback.
Because of the quarterback. Because he's not willing. He's willing to run. He's a very good runner. Does Notre Dame win this game without the turnovers and the touchdown on the? No, they don't. I don't think they do. But the problem was Georgia turned it over at the 8, which was actually a very good play by the Notre Dame kid. It was a huge play by the Notre Dame kid. That's where he needs to get credit. What I'm saying is, did they force turnovers? They forced that one. I can tell you that right now. And then
they forced the one before the half, but that was also a bad call to get them. Why are you go into the half? Okay. Go into the half 6-3, and you're perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. So Kirby addressed this in the post game. Hey, first of all, man, Sugar Bowl, a pretty good week. We got to get the cop that was in front of the press conference. Bro was out of control, and it was stupid. It was stupid. And so I know they won't watch it, but that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Lining people up, waiting for the people to go in before the press. I got to press record, man. I understand, and I don't mean this, I really don't mean this flippantly. I understand the situation we're in. That's one reason why we came out to Bourbon Street. But when we're doing our job, you're not just doing your job, not letting us do our job, okay? I mean, I've worked with cops for 20 plus years. You don't have to be a douche. You chose to be, and then you changed your mind in the middle of it because you realized you were being a douche, but whatever. Kirby in the postgame was saying we were losing. We only had so many possessions. The last 2 plays, offensive plays before the half for Georgia this season have cost them a shot to advance at least in the national championship. Again, I think, let's go to the other side of the street. I think, again, that playing this game with Carson would have been better for Georgia, but Matt, without them running the football, I mean, the problem here, Ryan, is Georgia's not effectively running the football, period.
Yeah, Notre Dame's a good defense. They've been one of the better defenses all year. Not tested, and you thought maybe they're going to get tested a little bit more by Georgia. Look, they beat Texas partially because they ran the ball well the first time around. They beat Texas for a handful of reasons, but a main reason is Trevor Etienne gets going along. Gunnar Stockton makes some plays with his legs. They struggled to run the ball. They did not run the ball well at Alabama. They did not run the ball well at Kentucky. They did not run the ball well against Ole Miss. They did not run the ball well against tonight. Guess what? Those are the 3 games that they lost, and one that they won by 1 point against a team that it was significantly better than a team that had 1 Power 5 win. So, and it was against Ole Miss. It is almost shocking to see a Georgia team like this not be able to run the ball, knowing that they're super talented. They had injuries on the offensive line, had injuries in the running back room, and that all of that affects it. But a couple of the position groups, it's shocking to see how much it really did drop off from the last couple of years, because all of us kind of assumed, hey, they just got this pipeline going, this defensive line, this offensive line, all of it. But sometimes that's just not the case, and the fact of the matter is part of the reason why they didn't win the national championship this year is because they didn't have that kind of talent. This is not an NFL-riddled roster the way it was in the past. That list isn't as long, and that's a big difference. But at the end of the day, they got to do it in the games too. Just because they aren't quite as good as those guys a couple of years ago didn't mean that they weren't on par or better than pretty much everybody else in the entire country. This is a team that failed to execute in a lot of spots during this whole season and just shot itself in the foot over and over again. This is a year that Georgia legitimately could have gone undefeated and won the whole thing. I thought it was on par with Ole Miss. I thought it was a better team than Alabama. I thought it was a better team tonight. They just lost those games, and it's tough when you're playing the schedule that you have. But, we're going to talk a lot over the next few months about what this season meant and, of course, move on and look forward. But this is a partial success for a season. When you do bring a trophy home, and they did do that and won the conference and defended the conference from Texas in a way, I think that's a little bit of a moral victory too. It's not a total failure, but you got to look at this and be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I was going to snatch the microphone from you like a press conference with Louisiana politicians. I do want to say, although tonight was a really bad result and whatever you want to call it, I think this season, believe it or not, was a success. This is the first one of 15 Southeastern Conference championships, Matt. Those don't just grow on trees. That win against Texas was huge. The win against Georgia Tech. Tate Ratledge has 2 national championships. Jalen Walker the same way. Those guys, people, I don't know if they remember David Andrews, but they should. And David never got to play on championship teams. And, Aaron Murray, guys like that, SEC East champions, do we really, it's not the same thing. So I don't worry about the future of Georgia. Tonight, though, I've been saying for a while, we're not here to sugarcoat things. Georgia was not the best team in the country this year. They probably were last year, and they didn't win the national championship. So my question the entire time was, can they go steal a national championship? Not turning the ball over twice where they did, and then allowing a special teams touchdown. This is a championship defense, Matt DeBerry, but this was not even close to a championship offense. Not even close.
Can I say something real quick? Was it a championship defense that allowed?
It was 100% a championship defense. They won the game against Texas twice. They won a Southeastern Conference championship, so there you go. But secondly, tonight, I don't think Notre Dame's great, and I'll let you finish, as Kanye would say. But yeah, I do think they are. But it's the offense was just not where it needs to be. And if that means you got to address things with Mike, then you address things with Mike. Or if that means you got to address things with Stacy, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that. I mean that legitimately. The offensive line play was not where it needs to be. Georgia was not balanced at all the way they need to be. But yes, in my opinion, the defense was a championship one. But you can defend your position.
Just real quick. The 260 rushing yards and over 400 total yards for Haynes King in that game. The Alabama game, getting out rushed by Kentucky. I just think that there were enough instances where we can question if it was a championship defense because it didn't show up a few times.
Not a national championship.
Not a national championship.
Like
SEC championship. And it is a big reason why they were able to bring that trophy home. But I just can't let you get that point off without being countered a little bit.
Yeah, Matt, go.
I do think there are some positives. They got a quarterback. They have a quarterback going into the next year.
For you, that was okay. If there's a question about Gunner, it's the big ball to Arian Smith.
He threw some beautiful passes in this game. Have to try to get him more involved with his legs. We know he's mobile. We know he can run. Just couldn't get anything going there. I do think Notre Dame did a good job of stopping him, corralling him, making him throw, but he did throw some balls. Now, the big question mark, they're replacing 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line. Now, some people may think that's a good thing.
I don't see how that's a good
That's
thing.
never a good thing when you're bringing in 4 new guys. And the guy who's coming back, Monroe Freeling, had a really tough night out there tonight. So there are questions on the offensive line. I think they've got a quarterback they can build around. I like the pass catchers they're bringing in. And defensively, just reload. That's what they're going to do. They didn't lose today because of the defense. But like Ryan said, they have not been elite for a lot of the part of this year.
On defense?
Like we've seen. Compared to their standards.
They
weren't elite
that's not
throughout
a
the
fair
whole year.
comparison.
Notre
for
Dame's
me.
defense.
No, hold on now.
Ohio State's defense is the best in the country. If you're elite, you're a top 5 defense in the country.
Ohio State definitely. Okay, so I think Ohio State's going to win the national championship, and I've thought that for a while now, since I watched them demolish Tennessee. What I'm trying to say is,
it's hard to find a better defense than what Georgia did out here, and I think most of the time, or a lot of the times, they've been elite. Sometimes they haven't.
Two things. Let me just say this real quick. Number one, I do think Notre Dame's defense is legitimate. I think it will be hard for Penn State to score. However, I thought you were comparing Georgia's defense this year versus the 22 and 21.
It's not near.
Yeah,
that.
it's not even close to that. But I don't think those are normal. Yeah, right. I don't think those are normal.
Which is why I don't think we can call this elite, because that's what elite is.
I didn't call it elite. That I'm aware of. I said it was a championship.
Those are not
the same thing.
That defense is good enough to win a championship.
Wait a second. Are we being? I don't want to get the semantics. I mean, Ryan and I might fight here, which is fine. I mean, there's a factual statement they are a championship defense because they won the SEC championship. Were they a national championship defense? I think they were. I don't think they had what they needed. I don't think there's much debate about this. They did not at all get what they needed from the offense. Period.
This
season. No, it just wasn't there. I mean,
let's see how this dangerous.
goes.
This is going to be
bad. This is going to be fun. I don't at all. I don't think it was. This is terrible. I think you got some issues at receiver. You want me to toss that one to you? I mean,
that's a slam dunk, Ryan.
They gotta get different guys out there. I mean,
guys are regressing.
They are. How has Dylan Bell gotten worse?
It doesn't make it. Dylan Bell was making contested catches last year. They were using him in the run game. They even went away from using him in the run game when the run game struggled all year. I don't know what that says about if they just didn't trust him as
Does ETN
much,
leave for sure?
I don't think it's for sure. This is a loaded running back class, and he's not in the top 5 or 6, maybe borderline top 10 in terms of the running backs coming in. This is like the most loaded running back class in a while. So I think there's a chance he could return, just because we're talking about maybe you're earning yourself a few more $1 million by getting drafted higher in the future. I think it would help having him return and having a tandem and him and Frazier and hopefully Frazier takes a step forward, but they got to get better weapons on the outside.
Yeah.
And
it's just not there, man.
Because they were in this playoff, they're missing out on going hard at some of the guys that were in the transfer portal. They lost out on Dane Key, a guy that people thought that could help him. Zachariah Branch.
Tell me about the groups they've signed that will come in, though. You feel like one guy is really good.
And we saw them, warming up, but Talon Taylor is the high 4-star, low 5-star, whatever you look at, out of Chicago, who is just dynamic. And that guy floats. We've talked about A.D. Mitchell, Michael Jones, those guys that just float in the air and can hang up there. Talon Taylor is a guy who can do that, just like 6'1.5", 180, but he's electric and he's sudden and he's quick and shifty. And then C.J. Wiley is 6'4", 200, runs like a deer out of Milton.
He looked good.
He is they are good-looking prospects and receivers. Landon Roldan is a guy that he's not going to be the first guy off the bus, but the kid can absolutely fly. Local kid out of North Oconee. They've got guys who can reel in the football. Thomas Blackshear's another one. They've got guys, and some of them might be playing next year because they got to do something, because Gunner's got to get more help than he did tonight.
Yeah, Georgia's not going to win it without exceptional players. I mean, they never won a national championship under Kirby Smart without Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers. Yeah. So, do you have that level of player? Do you have an A.D. Mitchell?
They had George Pickens for one.
They had George Pickens. They had A.D. They had Ladd. They had Brock Bowers. I mean, those are some killers, man. So they do not have – I'll say, I was just wrong about – I thought Dylan Bell would be further along. I was wrong about the offensive line. I don't think I'm wrong about ETN, because I don't know that you can judge him off of what – but I thought he'd be more productive. I mean, I was wrong about a lot this season.
I wasn't wrong. I was just duped. I was duped by the team.
Duped.
I was duped by the team.
That's not a bad way to put it, man. I mean, you get used to what they accomplished over the last 3-4 years, and you kind of think it's just going to carry over.
They're not functional on offense.
And we knew that pretty early on. I mean, we learned that in the first 3 weeks.
Yes.
Hey, they've got some problems.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's good defensively, but 13 points.
That was a red flag that we thought was maybe orange at the time.
I thought it was a one-time thing, maybe because 2 weeks later they played Alabama and scored 35 points. Again, losing Carson hurts. I mean, it was asking a lot. It was asking a lot to say, okay, we're going to go on a 3-game winning streak with a guy that has never started a football game before. And
against the best teams in the country.
Correct. And let me just say this too, and the comma to that is, but not necessarily because of him. I mean, you're changing things, and it's hard to change things. When they'll have 9 months to get ready. They'll play Marshall and kick their skull in, and then they'll play Tennessee pretty early. And I mean, I would imagine they'll win that game, but we'll just see. And we'll just see. I mean, tonight did not give me a bunch of confidence about the offense. But look, man, Kirby Smart, it's his job to make this happen. And I don't think there's things that he does that are, he got out-coached tonight. To me, I don't think it was nuts out-coached, but he got out-coached. And that's okay. You can get out-coached. He doesn't have the same players he did. So then coaching sort of does come into it a little bit more. Notre Dame was not a more talented team than Georgia, period. But they won the game, and they won it by double digits, and they won it because of Georgia miscues and mistakes. And that comes down to discipline, which comes down to coaching. Yeah. I mean, you
got to get better players. This program can't lose 3 games in a season. It's just it's unacceptable, especially when you win back-to-back national championships not too long ago. Now you go 2 years without winning one. And Kirby Smart, I mean, that guy's
are you concerned? I wouldn't say I'm over concerned.
No, but I think it could be a small wake-up call with Kirby where he says, you know what, how do I get back to that title? They didn't even make it to the semis.
Well, here, my thing is only this. I'm almost 50 somehow. And there are only so many opportunities in life to do big things. And Kirby's, this coming year will be 10 years. The guy is an exceptional head coach. Like,
Anyone would.
I mean, come on, man.
Yep.
So I'm not judging Kirby against I'm not really judging against Dabo. I'm judging him against history. And you know, I say this about, I talk about Georgia Tech, how they should be better at sports. I talk about all these things, and for years I thought about Georgia. Georgia's trajectory should be very high. Very high. They should be playing for national championships. They should be winning national championships. Kirby's going to be 10 years into this. He will have won a couple of conference championships and a couple of national championships. The guy could retire as one of the best coaches in college football history. However, I think he could retire as the second greatest coach in all time. But he's got to take advantage of opportunities that are there. This probably was not that year. He could have stolen one. Last year was an opportunity to really win it. And it didn't happen. You're only going to have so many opportunities. I mean, Dean Smith won 2 national championships. That's it. Dean Smith's one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history. Coach K only won 5. And he stole 1 or 2 at the end. So I don't want it to be for Kirby. And I see the stress that he, as a human.
How do I get better, Ryan? What do I have to do to get this team back to playing for a championship?
I think it's better players. I mean, you want to make coaching changes, I think that's fine too, but it's better players to me.
Most of it is about having better players, and then those players executing, because that's the other thing.
Yeah.
We thought that some of these guys were good. We thought Dylan Bell was that good, and you know, and it's not to pick on Dylan Bell. This isn't
it's
all
just
about
a
Dylan
moment,
Bell.
yeah.
It's just those moments happen tonight, and those moments happened in other nights. But you know, we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks if Ohio State plows through everybody the way that they're doing it at the moment, which they should, and that then poses the question: is that the new model? Do you just got to go out there and pay for all these guys?
But I don't think. What is the shame in that? I mean, I don't like.
Are we? The game. That's the game.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's the game, that's the game.
That's it.
And if that's the game that's going to win you championships in this era, then it's the game that Georgia has to play a little bit harder.
Let me just preach for a second here, man. Listen, man, Georgia fans. First of all, they've paid for cars amongst this group, houses, not you, but plural. Georgia fans are as I just don't know if there's. I mean, these guys, they're everywhere. My appreciation for them is significant.
They're passionate. It's a big.
They care
group.
a lot, and they are donating time, resources, emotion to the person that we're staying with. That person is going to be really upset that they lost this game. Okay, but people are. It's important to Georgia. And I think that's why, you know, if it's about this is the game, hey, man, go. I'm sorry with the camera work. If this is the game, play the game because you're Georgia. And, like, you know, you hired Kirby Smart for a reason, and he's delivered in many ways. The game has changed slightly, and if Ohio State's the model, then that's the model. Clemson ain't going to do that.
Slowly, but they got a couple kids.
No, dude.
But
Clemson,
Ohio State is throwing
if it's
millions and millions and millions, and Michigan's throwing millions at high school quarterbacks, right? So you gotta.
You cannot have your head in the sand.
Yeah.
You have to go do it. We wanted to come down to Bourbon just to tell everybody, look, you know, it was a terrorist attack, and we're not going to be terrorized. This group. And,
Evil doesn't win.
No,
Evil doesn't win.
No, and I'm not going to start cussing, but. You know, I love New Orleans. I've grown to really love it, and I think this is an awesome place. And you know, it was a great week that was marred by something by a person that is just obviously a crazy person and a terrorist. But I wanted to come down to Bourbon, so I apologize a little bit because of the camera work and our situation. But I just wanted to say, you know, they're not going to let us. You know, they're not going to. And you're not going to, I don't know what that was, but.
Well, I want to say thanks to everyone for watching because this is the end of the season here, and we're doing
it. It's not the end of our videos.
Not the end of our videos, no.
Every day, still.
No, we will cover the Dogs 24/7 every day of the year, but.
We cannot do it without y'all. Yeah. It means a lot to us. This is our well-being. This is how, you know, I feed my kids, and they are big eaters, as Ryan knows. And you know, we're very appreciative of y'all. But we're not going to sugarcoat things either. That's not the point of Dog Post. We don't have pom-poms. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, just to echo what they're saying, we appreciate y'all. It's a lot of fun, and without you guys, we can't do it. Dawg's got to be better if they want to win. Kirby's got to be better. All of them got to be better if they want to win a national championship here against them. We know that they have what it takes. They just got to get it figured out and go do it. This is the craziest season I can think of in college football, and we were a part of a lot of different crazy stuff, and it ended with some awful things happening here in New Orleans, but we saw one of the best regular season games ever in Alabama. We witnessed an 8 overtime game. Some of us had trash thrown on our heads out in Austin. I mean, it's just ridiculous what happened. Overtime in the SEC championship for the first time ever, and it doesn't end in a positive way for Georgia, but still a season where we're just not going to forget any of these moments.
Yeah, but listen, man, journeys are the way that you make memories. And, I don't think we'll ever forget this season. Staring out our hotel to see the carnage on Bourbon, the 8 overtimes, the Alabama game. It's been quite a season so far, it's been quite a season. I am glad for a break. But, it's not always all okay. Georgia's got some things to do. We're going to sign off from Bourbon. Everybody's behaving themselves. I'm kind of, the Georgia and Notre Dame folks are getting along. But we did want to come down to the French Quarter on Bourbon and say good night and farewell from the 2024 season. Georgia loses Notre Dame 23-10. Thanks for watching.